So I'm not sure we're recording. All right, guys, we are going to keep going for today. As we get going here, I was reading something yesterday that kind of struck me and was talking about, okay, we get 52 Mondays every single year to kind of say, all right, we got a new week, got a new opportunity. 52. And we often, have a bad week or a bad weekend, and we forget the opportunity that is in front of us because things are new. We have a new fresh start, okay? Yes, we still carry some of what happened in the past with us, but in essence, we have something new in front of us to create, right? Now, it got me thinking, well, if we have 52 Mondays every single year to kind of create a fresh, brand new week, that also means we have 52 Tuesdays every single year to create a brand new Tuesday or to start something new. And so if Monday sucked, like Monday was the crappiest day ever, everything that went wrong could go wrong, or you didn't get active like you wanted to, or you ate a little more than you wanted to, or you said something to your friend that pissed them off, or your friend did something to you that angered you. If Monday, yesterday, was not a great Monday, a great start to the new week, well, we got a new Tuesday. And we still have some time to write Tuesday's story. I know a couple of hours have already gone by, but you still have the opportunity to write how you want this day to look for yourself, whether it be something positive in an outcome, or you want to write some of the past mistakes you've made so you can benefit yourself and improve your daily life. Today's a new Tuesday, and we're still in the middle of it. We still have an opportunity to make it a great Tuesday, and don't ever forget that. That your story here today is still not written. You have control over it. You can control some certain variables. And I encourage you to take this Tuesday, one of the 52 we get this year, to say, I'm going to make this a good Tuesday. I'm going to make this new. This is something I can create. This is something I can take ownership of. And I hope you do that for yourself today. And forget about what happened on Monday. It's done. It's over with. Forget about what happened last week. Forget about what happened last Tuesday if it sucked and it was terrible. Today's a new Tuesday for yourself. And then we'll wake up tomorrow, and it'll be one of our 52 Wednesdays we get. We have an opportunity to make that new and make that a masterpiece. So take advantage of these days because, well, they go by quickly. Today we're going to look at another thing that impacts our wellness, and it relates to Buddy the Elf a little bit, like You Sit on a Throne of Lies, the great movie. I mean, it's one of the movies I look forward to watching every holiday season. But want to look into what about this thing called the sitting pandemic. Now, we're in a pandemic. I get it with coronavirus and the things that are happening in relation to that. And I don't want to dismiss that. But something that's been a pandemic, which a pandemic is something that is causing something that's major concern, it's a major health concern, it's causing harm or potential harm to a human being. We got a pandemic that's been going on for decades, and we've kind of kept silent about it. It's not been something that's been talked about. It's not something that we've addressed. We've just lived through it, but we're finding it to be one of the silent killers, okay, of our population, of people, okay, because of the health and wellness risk to it. So I want you to, again, look at this today and go with me today with the idea of what is this doing to my overall wellness. Now, I don't want to confuse you, okay? Sitting and getting to sit down is a bad thing, and I want you to stand, but I'm not referring to stand-up comedy. Very funny comedian, and go watch some of his stuff. He points out the fact that, quite honestly, a lot of people live life a little bit lazily. They don't want to get up there. They want to just stay down and do nothing. I don't want to do the exact work that I need to do, whatever it might be. And that is causing a lot of sedentary lifestyles to occur and happen in our country. And that leads to, obviously, big health risks. And now he makes fun of himself a lot. He's clearly done something right because he's pretty successful. So he's not totally lazy, even though he likes to try to point that out. He's done some really good things. So he's hardworking. He's done some things to help himself out. We need to do that for ourselves as well. We need to be willing to not sit and forget that we had the remote or had our phone to change the channel or change what we were watching. And we're like, I know that was there. I know I do that all the time. Like, I have a Roku remote, and I always have to resort to using my phone because the Roku remote never is found. It's eternally lost. I find it and then I lose it immediately afterwards. And I'm like, I just had it. Maybe you've been there too. And you're like, well, I'm not going to go find it. Because that's kind of our mentality when it comes to a lot of the things that we do. Now, again, we're talking about sitting, okay? And I want you to think about how this affects your life, okay? So there's a couple of tests we can do that connect our sitting to our physical environment, to our physical body. And I'm going to show you these when I get you there. So if we're going to test our sitting issues, okay, there's a couple things we can do. So we're gonna practice these 3 here. Thad, you got to practice too. All right, Thad's on, so Thad has to practice. All right, so go ahead and stand up here with me. Stand up here. We're gonna try 3 tests. 3 tests here for ourselves. First one, feet together, and I want you to try to squat down as low as you can. Okay. Yep. All right. Then line back up. Now we should be able to do this with relative ease. Right? You don't do this one, but the next one. We should be able to do this with relative ease. Problem is, people start lifting their heels. They have a hard time balancing on their feet. They have a hard time keeping their hips in alignment. So their balance is off, and now they're falling forward or falling to their left, falling to their right. Okay, Thad has his camera on, so some people can watch him do it. All right. So we have some balance issues. And that's as a result of our hips not being and our knees not being as mobile as they should be due to sitting for years and years and years. The second one is an overhead reach. So I want you to stand up, reach over your head, try to interlock your thumbs, okay? This should be no problem, all right? Now, they should be straight above your head. You can go ahead and put them down. Trouble is, people have a hard time putting their arms straight above their head. They do. They can't put them above their head. They tend to go forward a little bit. They can't fully go straight up. Or they have trouble once they get to like this position. Oh my goodness, my shoulders. Like you see the people who can't put things up on a shelf at home because their shoulder mobility is shot and it's gone. So you should be able to do this fine. You should arms straight above your head, not leaning forward, okay? You're doing this with relative ease, all right? So if you can't do that, well, it could be a result of us sitting and our shoulders being in a bad posture. The third one, I'm not gonna make you do because you would need a couch for this, okay? So it's a simple couch stretch you could do at home, or you could use the side of a wall. So I'll show you. I would be using like my right knee, and I'd be propping up my foot on the couch. So let's pretend this is the couch. And I try to have my knee, it's a little hard with the wall, like go all the way up against the couch, and then you should be able to maintain an upright position right from here. If you're feeling like you gotta lean forward to keep this position, probably some balance issues, some hip issues because we've been seated all the time. But we should have very little trouble maintaining this position for a long time if we are good because we haven't sat a ton of hours throughout our day. So go ahead and take a seat. Those are just some simple tests you could do to see how are your hips, how is your body in terms of its connection to sitting all the time. Now, again, I want you to think of sitting in your wellness, okay? And the numbers 6.5 and 8 to 9 are relevant because of this. The typical average teenager, high school student, will spend around 6.5 hours or so sitting throughout their day. That's horrible. The average American adult, and these are just some baseline numbers, so there's some other things I'll show you or tell you in a second. Not yet. The average American adult, 8 to 9 hours of their day spent sitting. Okay, and now you combine it all, not like straight, but you think they're sitting at a desk or sitting in a chair at work, or sitting in their car. You're sitting in your car, going to and from various places. Like adding up all that time you spend sitting, it's a lot of time. So over the course of hopefully a good day, you're up 14, 15 hours a day because you're getting those 8 and 9, 10 hours of sleep, right? So 15 hours of your day, you're up and awake. For an average American adult, for many adults, they're spending 50 to 60% of that time sitting down, not doing much for their physical wellness or their wellness in general. For you as high school students, again, 45 minutes, get up, go to another class, sit down. 45 minutes, get up, go sit down again. Go to lunch, sit down for 30 minutes, get up. Like you're just in this repeat mode. And unfortunately, you've been programmed to do this since you were in kindergarten, right? Like you never have to think now when you walk into a classroom, wait, what do I do? What do I do in these things on the floor? Like you just know at the desk, I have to sit down there because that's what I was told when I was 5 and I went to kindergarten. They made me sit on my spot or in my place on the floor, and I'm just accustomed to doing that. So we programmed ourselves to thinking, sit, 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 sit. And over the course of years and years and years, what is that doing to our overall wellness? So we spend a lot of time sitting. Why do you think people sit? Why do people sit, in your opinion? Yes. Yes. It's comfortable, is it not? Like there's something relaxing about sitting down, whether it be, maybe not in these desks, I totally get you there, but sitting in a nice lounge chair or that couch, or just that one chair that makes you feel like you are all snuggly and warm and like nothing can ever happen in the world to you. Like it's comfortable. And that comfort appeals to us as humans because we want to feel comforted. We want to feel at ease. We don't want to hang on to the worries and stresses that are out there in the real world, right? So sitting down is easy. It's comfortable. All right, we're less on our guard. Sometimes we feel like we're saying we have to be aware of everything that's going on around us because we got to be like a ninja, fight off warriors at the moment's notice. So yes, it's comfortable, and that comfort appeals to us, which is why we go to sit and sit and sit some more. Which is why people sit in school all day or sit at work all day, and go home and sit some more, just because it's comfortable. We're at ease. Any other thoughts of why we sit? I mentioned one of the things of driving. I mean, think of all the time you spend sitting down in a car over the course of a week when you're just sitting there, rather than maybe out standing or walking. People get so acclimated to making a driving commute that they spend not only time in their school day or their work day sitting down, but they are driving to and from spending 15, 20, 30 minutes sitting. You know, there's someone I think who worked here a few years ago. I can't remember if he still works here. But he was a person who worked on staff. He lived in, I kid you not, Fort Wayne. Shocked me when I heard. He was driving from Fort Wayne or right around that area here every single day. So not only maybe he was standing here or sitting here when he got here, but he's sitting in a 45-minute commute every single day to and from. That adds up over the course of time. My idea of sitting, and I think reasons people sit, come down to these three right here. We spend time sitting in front of a TV screen or in front of our screen to watch movies, to watch the game, to watch Netflix or streaming or Hulu or watching Hamilton on Disney Plus for 3 hours. Well worth it. Hamilton's awesome. Okay, go watch it, give it a chance. But it's very long. So we spend hours of our day sitting in front of the TV, watching something. Okay, it's enjoyable, it's comfortable, it's entertainment. We like it, but we spend most of our time sitting. In our living room or our family room or wherever we have our TV at. I think just get the picture in your head right now. Imagine people going to your living room or where the room where the TV's at, and everyone goes in that room and they just stand and watch, a movie, or they stand and watch whatever's on TV, like from start to finish. Think of it like a 2-hour movie, and you got 5 or 6 people in the room, and you're all just standing around watching the movie. Like there's something awkward in our mind that goes up. Like, that's just weird. Like we sit down when we watch TV. We have to lay down on the couch. You can't stand and watch an entire movie. You can't stand and watch a game. That just seems weird. We also sit when we eat, okay? And you can combine this with TV a little bit too, because what do we tend to do while we're watching Netflix? Well, hey, you know what? Those chips would sound kind of good right about now. Let me go grab a bag and let me sit down and lounge and just eat while I'm watching TV. We tend to eat while we are sitting. It's just a natural thing that goes with us feeling relaxed while we're sitting down. You know what relaxes me even more? Great food. So we just combine those together, and sometimes then we're eating food that we just don't need to be eating because we're not hungry, we're not starving. We just want to eat because, well, I'm sitting down. Every get-together in America has to do with some food. We can't ever get together in America without food being present. You can't have a meeting without donuts. You can't have, any family thing without there being some sort of barbecue or some eatery going on. Like that's just what we do in America. And so what do we tend to do when we get together? We sit as a family or sit with our friends and we eat. So now we are having some health issues there because we're taking on more food, or we're more likely to make food choices because we're sitting down. And then finally, we do work, okay? Whether it be your schoolwork, at school or at home, whether it be your job someday. We tend to do work by sitting down traditionally. And we ask ourselves, again, 8 to 9 hours of our day. But we spend a majority of our time doing that. So those three are kind of the biggest three reasons in my mind why we have some sitting reasons. Now, again, I want to relate this to your overall health and wellness, okay? I want to relate this to that. And so we're going to look at what does it do for your physical wellness, mental wellness, and emotional wellness, because that's your overall wellness. Now, there's something to be said when anything is compared to smoking. And right now, sitting is basically called, it's the new smoking of our generation, of our time. We all know smoking, 70s, 80s, 90s was terrible. People did it all the time. And then it came out where the tobacco companies had the list and say, yes, these chemicals, what is in a cigarette is addicting and it's harmful to your body. And even now people still smoke, even knowing that, which is crazy to me. But sitting is categorized as the new smoking because of its detrimental effects to your body. So if we're comparing anything to an addictive drug, an addictive chemical, and we're comparing it to something like sitting, that hopefully should get our attention a little bit, all right? If you smoke a cigarette, you are putting your health and wellness at danger. You sit down, you're putting your health and wellness at danger. So much so that I found this great quote from a doctor, and I want you to hear this. People don't need the experts to tell them that sitting around too much could give them a sore back or a spare tire added weight. The conventional wisdom, though, is that if you watch your diet and get aerobic exercise at least a few times a week, you'll effectively offset your sedentary time, the time you're sitting. This advice makes scarcely more sense than the notion that you could counter a pack a day of smoking habit by jogging. Exercise is not a perfect antidote for sitting. Sitting is hazardous. Sitting is dangerous. Dr. Mark Hamilton. And he related again to smoking by saying, people, I smoke a packer, every week or so. But you know what? I do get out. I do exercise a little bit. I do get my walking in. I do lift some weights or I play some soccer with my friends. Like, I'm good. I'm countering it. I'm balancing it out, right? Like, no, that is such poor advice. That's what humans do to make themselves feel better about their situation. But in reality, hey, I sat for 9 hours a day. I'll go for a run later. And not saying the run is good, but at the end of the day, we're still sitting 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day. So what can we do to balance that? What can we do to help that? Because sitting is the new smoking. Now, sitting can do a couple things for your overall health concerns. First, weaken glutes. Okay, you'd be wobbly in the knees. So your hamstrings, your glute muscles, your butt muscles, they become weaker over time because of sitting down. You are not using them. You're simply resting your whole body weight on them. They're not being engaged. They're not being activated. They're just a blob. They're just there, okay, to make sure you don't fully sink down to the floor and you aren't sitting on your tailbone, because no one wants to sit on the tailbone, because that just hurts, okay? So our glutes are weakened. And then those muscles in our legs are weakened. We have a hard time effectively using them because the muscles aren't used, and we don't use them, we lose them. And now we're having trouble walking, standing straight up, moving forward, stopping, rotating. And it might be just slightly debilitating, but if it's slightly debilitating to your legs, it could give you maybe a chance for a bigger injury or some long-term effects for your overall health and wellness. So your glutes are weakened. Glutes are weakened, doesn't catch your attention. How about this? American Cancer Society, an epidemiologist there, which is the person who studies infectious diseases. All right, they looked at people who sat over 6 hours a day between the early years of the 2000s. They looked at 123,000 people. They found that men who sat 6+ hours a day, they had a 20% increase in dying prematurely. Women who sat 6+ hours a day, 40% higher chance of dying prematurely. It's not like, hey, there's a 3% chance of you dying prematurely if you spend a lot of your day sitting. This is fairly significant. I think 20%, 40% is fairly significant. And it's something we can control. Again, this isn't smoking. This isn't taking drugs. This isn't eating a bunch of sugar. This is simply sitting down. And it's causing a higher risk in premature death. The other health effect that could happen is those spider veins, or what is it called, is deep vein thrombosis. All right, so first, spider veins. You ever see like the older person or the person that has their veins popping out of their legs? It's, I'll be very honest, it's nasty looking. It's not very appealing. Okay, I guess sometimes there's some other issues that go on with the legs, but the reason they are more apparent in some people who sit a lot is they're in a seated position. Therefore, their legs are not used. The blood circulation, the blood flow throughout their legs is more restricted and constricted. Therefore, those veins have some issues going on because they're not healthfully and they're not engaged in the movement, natural movement of your legs. And so therefore, over time, spider veins start popping out. The veins start getting more bulgier and they start popping out of the leg and they look nasty, all right? Deep vein thrombosis is what is in this picture right here. So if you stay in a seated position for a long period of time, your veins can start almost clogging up, okay, with the cells, the blood cells that are trying to move through those veins. And so if they're staying in a prolonged position for an extended period of time, okay, and this is where we're talking about hours on hours, there's a chance that your blood flow could be super restricted, your vein circulation's cut off, and now you have big health problems because now blood's not getting to your legs, and to your organs, and to your muscle tissues in your body, specifically your legs, from sitting down. Now we have, again, major health issues with your legs. So spider veins, yeah, not fun. Deep vein thrombosis, not fun either. A third effect would be your posture. So we look at the spine and your hips, okay? So some of those tests we did at the beginning, kind of test that and see what availability you had with that in terms of, again, the mobility. But think of it, over the course of time, if you're in a seated position, you can be wearing away that spine, wearing away at your hips, because you're constantly in that position where you're sitting down, okay? Your spine is not having to be adjusted because you're standing up or moving. Even if you sat on your throne like the King of England, your posture was as perfect as can be, okay? You are still having some results of your hips being out of place because, again, your hips were not made to be in that seated position all day, every day. They were meant to be up in a standing position. You were meant to move for your life. And so that plays a role in your spine because everything is connected, all right? And let's be honest, we sit down, picture perfect. After a few minutes, what do we do? Start doing this, and I do this too. I start doing this, and I get my arms up, and I start leaning on my arms a little bit, or lean on my fist, and do more of this. What do you think that's doing to your spine over the course of time? Yeah, not just today. It's not like, again, eating one salad is going to make you lose weight, or eating 2 extra cookies is going to gain 15 pounds in one day. But over the course of time, if we're consistently doing this to our spine, consistently getting it moving in a bad structure, what are we doing to our health problems? Now we're 30, 40, 50, we're having back issues. We can't get up the stairs because our hips are so hurt and sore and achy after walking around the store for 35 minutes. And that's the major issues here that we're finding, and they're a result of us sitting, okay? And spine and hip, kind of important things. They're all connected. And if your spine is having issues, now your hips have issues, which then lead to your knees joints, which leads to your ankle joints. And then we're a whole big interesting ball of messed up joints because we sit. We also have more weight gain, okay? Again, traditionally, because when we sit, we are more likely to eat food, eat more of it, because it's easy, it's comfortable, it's relaxing. We're also more likely to live a sedentary life where we're like, hey, this sitting is good. I'll sit for more time and more time and more time, and I never want to get up. I never want to get active. I never want to move. So we accumulate more weight and poundage there, all right? And sedentary lifestyle is a killer, and it's often from a result of sitting. I knew someone who used to work a desk job, and they were telling me, man, I work for 8, 9 hours a day from 8 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. And I would sit most of my day. And by the end, I really wanted to try to get in a workout in or run, but I was just tired. And so I would go home and sit some more. And he's like, I put on 30, 40 pounds over the course of a couple of years. And it was like, man, what happened? I just sat, and then I went home and I sat because I was tired. I wanted to just sit down even more so. All right. So this weight gain occurs with people who sit more. Even just standing, guys, you're going to burn some more calories than sitting, because by standing, you're at least engaging those leg muscles. You're having to keep your balance up, because if you didn't, you would fall flat on your face or to the side. So by doing this, you're at least burning some calories. You're helping your body work a little bit and use some of its energy storage to keep you up, to keep you upright, and which is going to help you if you're trying to maintain weight at least. So that way you're not hoarding it all in and conserving it. When you're sitting down, your body's like, hey, I got no need to expend energy. I don't have to do this. I don't got to burn calories because I'm just sitting. I'm doing really nothing. So now that's weight gain, and those issues are very real in the long term as well. And then finally, you have stiffer neck and shoulders, and the reaching above your head test. All right. When your neck and your shoulders become stiffer and more calloused, they become more like concrete. Now you have trouble maybe moving your neck, moving your head. You have more headaches. Okay. And when your shoulders aren't very immobile, now it's like, oh, I can't lift my arm above my head. I can't grab that thing on the top shelf. Again, not that your life is going to be dependent on you moving your arms in a million different ways, but we should be able to. We shouldn't be debilitated. We shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is just hurting my arm to lift my arm this much. Okay. It shouldn't be that way. That's counterintuitive to how we should live our life. And so we add that, we make that happen by sitting all the time, allowing our shoulders to rest and to sag, our neck to kind of droop over. And these things accumulate over time to causing some major health concerns. Now on the flip side, again, that's a physical wellness. What about mental and emotional wellness? Sitting can't affect you there, can it? Yes, it can. First, we are more prone to stress and depression. Okay? Stress and depression is something I wish we could get rid of, but unfortunately, we aid it by sitting down a ton. Okay? Think about this. You're sitting down, you're isolating yourself from everything and a lot of stuff that's going on in your life. You're more prone to hearing your own inner thoughts, and sometimes for many people that is troublesome, and it's something we don't want to have happen to us. Interesting enough, they looked at workers in Australia, in the Australian government, who sat and sat and sat, and they looked at 3,300 of them, okay? And they said those who sat more than 6 hours of their natural typical workday were more likely to have a high to moderately high score on a psychological distress test, okay? Again, holding stress, holding emotions, holding anxieties, they were more likely to score higher with those stressors. Okay, because they couldn't get a handle on it because all they were doing is sitting all the time, keeping it in, holding on to the tension, rather than being free and naturally moving their body, releasing those serotonin chemicals of exercise and just pure movement. More likely to have stress and anxiety and depression when you sit down for longer periods of time throughout your day. Just that's what happens. Your body becomes used to just being isolated, and in this hut of sitting down, we hold on to those stressors. We also have more alone time, and we have more confinement, okay? I'm not relating these desks to jail cells, but let's be honest, sitting down in these desks, there's something naturally that feels confining, that you feel like you're being locked in a cage because you can't move freely. You got the arm bar there, it's just very restrictive. And if I could burn these, I would burn them, but I would get in trouble for burning school property. But there's something about sitting down, sitting in a desk, sitting in a chair that creates more confinement, okay, to your mind, to your soul, to your body, and it also isolates you. Because I get it, we sit at like lunch today and you'll sit with your friends, okay, but more often than not, when we choose to sit down, we're choosing to sit down because leave me alone. I don't want to be talked to. I want to just be with me, myself, and I. And that constant isolation of sitting down allows us to feel more mental health issues, more emotional wellness issues, okay? And that's counterintuitive to living a happy life. And to look at the people in the blue zones, what do? They had socially gathered. They interacted with other people. Maybe they have been sitting down. I bet sometimes they were sitting down, but they were also probably standing and talking and interacting with each other. Therefore, they're not spending time alone and in confinement. So I encourage you to spend more time standing and moving, because that won't create the alone and natural feeling. Again, it might be subtle. You might be saying, well, I'm not alone. I want to sit down because I'm just doing something else. But think of it, over time, you're slowly removing yourself from other people, connection to others by sitting down. And then third here, there's a limited expression to your body when you sit down. Okay, so you'd be like 11 here and just never have any emotion sometimes. And so I'm not saying you have no expression whatsoever, okay, that you're stone-faced, you're monotone with your voice, but when you're sitting down, you can't use your legs, you can't use your arms as best you can to express how you feel or how you're acting towards something. You are more constrictive with your emotions. And then that natural constriction allows you to maybe not showcase those feelings or emotions you might be having inside. And so you have limited expressions of those feelings and emotions, which means you hold on to them, you keep them inside, those mount up, those boil over, and bam, mental, emotional distress. Limited expression doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you naturally limit your ability to be you and to express who you are and what you're feeling, what you're thinking, that plays a role into your psychological well-being and your mental well-being. That I think is something that we don't address as well. All right. And then finally, the blue light, because what do we do when we sit down? My phone. Just natural. We make it so natural now, we don't even think about it. Now, what's on our phones, what's on our iPads, what's on the TV screen, our laptops, amazing. We have so much capability of designing things, creating things with them. I don't want to dismiss that. But if we are constantly sitting down and we're always in front of a blue light, okay, and not protecting our eyesight, we're going to have more eye issues. We're going to have more ability to perceive what's going on around us, which leads to more mood swings. Okay, blue light has been registered to affecting people's moods and having more mood disorder effects. And also, blue light, staring at a blue light for a long period of time, will jack up your circadian rhythm. You're like, circadian what? So basically your sleeping pattern at night. We all have a circadian rhythm your body naturally goes through to make sure it's the best recovery tool for you. Okay, there is nothing like it. And when you jack up your sleeping pattern, your ability to get those quality hours of sleep, you wake up, you're more moody, you're more pissed off, you're more aggressive, you're more angry, you're more emotionally maybe unstable compared to how you normally would be if you got your rest and you got your sleep. And so when we sit down in front of a blue light, it affects our sleep, which then affects our mental outlook and our mindset on how we handle life. And so therefore mental and emotional problems. There are a lot of effects, guys, of simply sitting down. Now, I don't want to harp on this like everything's bad. What about some solutions? Because right now we're in the pandemic of coronavirus, and people are coming up with solutions of how can we fix this? How can we make this better? How can we solve this issue to help other people? Same thing with sitting, okay? And there's a couple solutions that I think we could use to better help this pandemic we are in for sitting. First, building design. Google kind of engineered this back when they started their workplaces of having an open concept at work where people weren't in cubicles anymore. I mean, I can't imagine working at a place where you were in an 8x8 cubicle, okay? You had walls all around you and you just were staring at your computer for 8 to 9 hours a day. Like, you're not really interacting with anybody else. The only talk you got was talking over the wall to the person in the cubicle next to you. But that's how the 80s and 90s workplaces were built. Just get your work done, go to your cubicle, that's it. But now they're realizing if we have more open work office concepts, more open school and classroom concepts, you might feel naturally freer and you might be more likely to get up and move and not sit as much. So you see this is a company here. They have the railways. They have people can walk up to the second floor. They have open workspaces with less cubicles, less restrictions. And so yes, people will sit. Okay, it's not meant to get people from never sitting, but they're more likely to say, you know, I'm going to get up and go talk to my buddy. Or I'm going to go get up and I'm going to walk to the upper level here to go to the printer or whatever it might be. You're more likely to get up and move. My buddy, he works out at Toyota in Texas. He was telling me in their huge facility, and it's huge because I drove by it with him, they have like almost like an adult indoor playground in the middle of their facility where people will go to gather. They have a gym there. They have places where people can go hang out and talk and walk around. They have an outdoor landscape track where people can go hang out and look at some trees or look at nature, walk around. They have these built into their workplaces because they're finding, hey, if people are going to be at their best and most productive, we can't have them sit for 9 hours a day. So they're building more and more designs to have people not sit as much. So imagine if we did that for schools or just buildings in general, so people are spending less time sitting. It might be one way we can do it. Another thing that can happen is more outdoor green spaces or outdoor spaces in general. This is Pacific Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Okay, I got the opportunity to go be here when I went to visit my brother who lives in Texas. Remarkable place, remarkable city. As you see, there's towers here, buildings all around it. I mean, it's a huge, huge city with lots of things going on. But interspersed in their towers in the downtown, they have these outdoor greenery spaces, all right? Because they want people to spend less time inside in their workplaces. Hey, spend some time outside. Get outside and get walking, all right? We travel a lot by car. And so what if we had more outdoor space where people felt like they could walk rather than hop into a cab or take their car? They could ride a bike rather than sit down into another bus, okay? So when I got here, it was really cool. There was hundreds of people out throwing the Frisbee around, playing with their dogs, playing with their kids. They had a bunch of food trucks lined up, so people were getting their food and their lunch. It was a really cool place. So imagine if we had more outdoor green spaces or outdoor spaces in which people would feel less like they have to sit and they could stand up and interact with other people, get exposure to the sunlight, great health and wellness benefits as well. And then we have a third solution, which I think it was more applicable to you, the new age of desk, okay? So I'm gonna turn the light off just because some of these things can be seen a little bit better. But you see, there's schools that will have the ability to have bikes, exercise bikes, in their classroom. There are no desks. There's no tables. There's no chairs. They're simply these exercise bikes. And so they have the platform. They can put out their iPad on the platform. They can put their book, whatever they're using, on the platform, and they can enjoy, you know, a leisurely bike ride during class. They're not going Lance Armstrong. They're not like trying to win a bike race or anything. They're going slower, but they're getting their body moving. They're using those leg muscles to actually move and create more blood circulation rather than just stay stiff all day and stay in the same position. You see even this classroom here with elementary school kids, they have more of the relaxed bike where they're sitting down in that type of position. Again, they have them with the girls holding her book, getting her reading done while she's riding the bike. Okay, imagine maybe if we have the screens on the bike instead of your iPad, you just had a screen on your bike that worked and correlated with your stuff. Imagine how that could be. You even have this classroom right here. They not only have a bike, they have like a stair stepper. So that's what this girl's doing here. She's standing up, going on this elliptical, which is like a stair stepper throughout the class. And that's getting her standing up, not sitting down and in that posture. Are there other kids at desk? Yes. So maybe instead of having just all desk, we could say, hey, what if we had 5 or 6 of these on here? And you had the opportunity to get up and move if you wanted to, rather than all try to go on one. Imagine what that could do for your whole wellness and mental well-being. If you had the opportunity to move. I might have seen stability balls around, or people at work, or maybe your parents use a stability ball to sit on. The idea behind that is, yes, you're still sitting, but you're also activating your core a little more because you have to stay balanced, otherwise you'll fall over. You're having to use your legs to keep balance, so you're keeping it more better blood flow because your muscles are being used, all right? Again, it's just an idea to say, well, we're sitting, what could we make it a little bit better? How could we improve it? And then ultimately, what would be beneficial for us is this right here. So this is a high school student. I can't remember, she's in a school out on the East Coast, I believe, but she's using a standing desk. So it's taking this desk, eliminating the seat, and raising it up to your appropriate level for standing. So that way she is not sitting all day, she is standing, she can move around freely, she's not restricted. If she wants to walk and talk to somebody on the other side of the classroom, she can just do that without having to get up and cause a big scene. It's a lot better for her to work at this standing desk than to simply have to sit down. That's why you see me, I have that stand over there pop up because I can spend more of my time standing than sitting down in a chair all the time. It's not a true standing desk, but trying to make one for myself so I have to stand more because it's very easy to sit. Or if the person wants a balance, they now will make desk, and you can find desks that go from a standing position to being moved down where you see to sit down at. So if you're like, you know what, I'll spend some of my time, some of my day standing, so I'm doing that, great. And you know what, my legs are getting a little tired. I want to eat. I want to drink my coffee and not feel like I'm going to spill anything. Okay, I'll move it down so I can sit down. This gives you the flexibility of both standing and sitting, and hopefully it eliminates sitting all the time. So there's some new age of desks that are going on that might help us combat this sitting problem. One solution maybe that you might have could change this as well. I mean, think about it. People right now are working on the coronavirus, again, thinking of solutions to better help and solve this issue. Maybe you could be someone that could have some answers or solutions as well. Again, we might not be able to eliminate sitting every single part of a day, but what if we could reduce it to only 3 or 4 hours instead of 8 to 9? Imagine what benefits we could get for our wellness because of that. One group that is trying to do so is this great group. I encourage you to take a look at their stuff. It's called Stand Up Kids. And their idea is, their mission is to get every single student in America, okay, a standing desk within the next 10 years. Okay, where every school has access to standing desks. It's not the old-fashioned sitting desk. It's not confinement. It's not putting you in a box or in a jail cell. You have the ability to stand. And certainly every person is different, right? Like you all are different heights. So we can't have a small size standing desk for some people because, well, then they'd be taller and they'd be slouching over and then back issues or hip issues. So we can make a standing desk that every student could use in every single classroom to start teaching them that, hey, standing is okay. And if we start this at a younger age, then it becomes the new normal. And all of a sudden, we have less health concerns and wellness concerns as you start getting into your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. All right. So they're a great resource and they're an awesome place to look at when it comes to maybe coming up with a solution. Now I want you to think of a solution. All right. I want you to go ahead and you can pull it up on Canvas. All right. But I want you to, first and foremost, answer this question. What is a solution for solving the sitting pandemic in your mind? What is an idea? What is a way we can put together an answer for this problem? And then explain. It doesn't have to be a long thing. I just want, like, rather than just say, well, this is my solution. Why is it your solution? How is it going to work? What would need to be used? What would need to be involved to make this happen? And then second, how can you use this solution in your life to benefit your wellness? It's one thing to say, hey, I have a solution, but if you can't use it, if it's not going to benefit you, what good is it really? Like, so I want you to think of, again, how can you solve the sitting pandemic? What is a solution you could give? Why? What is it? What does it involve? And then second, how could you use this in your own daily life to benefit your wellness? All right. Again, think about this because we got to start reducing the amount of time we are sitting as a society and as people. Okay. Are we going to sit 0 minutes, 0 hours of the day? No, that's pretty unrealistic. But if we can reduce the amount of time sitting down in seats and lounging, we might have some beneficial things that happen to our health and wellness for the years to come. Again, this is playing the long game. This is saying I'm looking out for my wellness for the next 60, 70, 80 years. Now, I'm not just thinking about the here and now, all right? So please go ahead and work on that as we finish up for today. If you have any questions, please let me know. But let's try to reduce the sitting pandemic in our country.
The founder here at the Fit Mother Project and the Fit Mom may have heard that sitting is the new smoking. And there's a lot of truth to that statement. There are some serious health dangers of sitting too long, and I want to cover those in today's video. I want to cover some of the physiology and science. The heart, back, all these things. But also talk a little about the philosophy.
Pretty sure I left my tablet in one of my classes.
Go ahead.
Alright, so let's get into today's video on the dangers of sitting too long. There was a meta-analysis.
At that, if you can make sure you work on the sitting solution up on Canvas. Once you are good with that, once you have finished that, you are free to log off. I'll keep an eye on what I hear, and today hopefully we can get back, hear some good news. But once you finish that, you're all good.
This because these human bodies are built to move. Movement stimulates our breathing, stimulates our circulation. Blood flow and oxygen are essential to our health. When we're sitting for a long time, a lot of problems happen with the body. The first one is the spine. The spine is this axis of our bodies. And as we see what happens, there's a bone layer in between of our spine. It's called our disc. Discs get compressed. And what that does is actually cause those nerves that exit out the side of the spine to work as well. Sciatic pain, back to the If we're overweight, that pressure on the discs increases to 300%. A lot of pressure on those discs, which causes a lot of problems. But it's not just the back pain issues with sitting. It's also the metabolism. See, inside the arteries of our legs and potatoes, we have an enzyme called protein lipase. What this enzyme's job is to break down the fat. bodies use that fat for energy. Sit, lipoprotein lipase activity is decreased by like 95%. Dramatically while you're sitting, and it's really because our bodies go constantly moving, and these light muscles are postural. They're built to be supporting our posture. And we sit for the time, little light does not work as well. And this is probably an underlying factor into why sitting is actually affecting some of these heart conditions, like increasing strokes, increasing diabetes, increasing high cholesterol, etc. So we have spine issues. We have lipoprotein lipase issues. Circulation does not work as well. We're sitting, our body is really fueled by this heart pump. Our heart is meant to be pumping to circulate that blood throughout this entire system. And the movement of our leg muscles actually returns that blood from those veins in the legs back up to the heart. That's why if you ever fly in an airplane or an international flight, they tell you get out there, move your feet, flex your calves, and get on blood to the pool in the lower legs, causing deep clots, like a deep vein thrombosis, DVT. Something that can be potentially very dangerous. The thing is, when we're sitting for normal days, we sit for like 8+ hours, we're getting a similar effect. Certainly not exacerbating. We're not pumping that blood back into the heart. And what happens? When that blood's not getting pumped up, oxygen's not getting that blood flow, it's not going through. This full circulation pump requires activity, particularly in the leg muscles, to get up and going. And this is from that research that showed that if you're sitting for more than 78 hours a day, you get this increased risk of all sorts of different diseases and mortality. Show that if you're sitting for 8 prolonged hours, it takes 60 to 75 minutes of moderate exercise every single day to offset the risk. So daily activity can offset the risk. Prolonged sitting is such a serious problem for our health. It requires over an hour and 15 minutes of fairly vigorous exercise to offset the negative effects. So the key is to get up and work and sit every hour.
Open up because I have a feeling they're in the admits. So once you started class, if they were on there.
You're sitting on your commute. You don't have time to exercise. And think about this concept.
No one's here.
Let's say every hour or every 2 hours you say you do 2 minutes of jumping jacks, you do 25 push-ups, and 15 to 20 air squats. At the end of the day, you might have accumulated 15 to 20 minutes of exercise.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to miss today's class, this class will be uploaded to Canvas here for you to watch here soon today. Please go back and look through the sitting pandemic, a real issue, and then make sure you finish your kind of end class assignment of what is a solution that you could provide for the sitting pandemic. How can we solve it? How can we help make it better and lessen the effects of it on our overall wellness? If you have that done, you are good for today, Tuesday, September 29th. If you have any questions, please let me know, as well as make sure you're finishing any missing assignments or assignments you have not completed yet, because again, the end of the quarter is finishing up a week from Friday. So let's make sure we work on some of those things now rather than wait. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
So even if it's exercise and off stats, unless you're doing it for over an hour, pretty much in an hour